In today's video, we are talking about complex PTSD that develops from narcissistic abuse and the number one toxic self-defeating trait that someone with this disorder will almost always develop. It's one of the most devastating legacies of narcissistic abuse because it's not what was done to us, it's what we learned to do to ourselves in order to survive. Today, we're talking about how survivors have learned to chronically betray and abandon themselves. Unfortunately, self-abandonment becomes second nature to the vast majority of us. We become accustomed to silencing our needs, burying our feelings, and erasing our authenticity. At first, this usually feels like safety, but over time, it becomes a prison. Survivors of CPTSD often find themselves disappearing in moments that matter most, not because they want to, but because their nervous system decided long ago that invisibility meant survival. And in today's video, I am going to tell you why this continues into our adulthood, what the internal experience is like, and how to break the cycle once and for all. But first, if you're new to this channel, I'd like to take a moment and welcome you and invite you to please subscribe and be sure and hit that notification bell because I put out new videos every week. Also, if you are interested in private one-on-one narcissistic abuse recovery coaching sessions with me, or if you'd like more information on my course on how to break trauma bonds and heal from complex PTSD, or if you'd like to join our private community of survivors where we have bi-weekly group coaching sessions and you'll have access to all of my course material, you'll be able to find all of those links listed in the description below. Self-abandonment usually starts in an unsafe childhood environment where being authentic was either punished, rejected, or neglected. Vulnerability became dangerous, so survival required that we silence our needs and shrink our identity. We learned to focus outward, adapt to others' moods, and erase ourselves to avoid harm. Eventually, however, deep inside, a belief takes root. If I disappear, I'll be safe. And unfortunately, over time, this disappearing act stops being a conscious choice and hardens into a reflex. The tragedy is that it works in the short term, but in the long run, it severs us from who we truly are. It leaves us wandering through life, feeling like a ghost in our own story, present yet disconnected, watching ourselves play a role while the real self stays hidden away. So now let's talk about how this continues, because unfortunately, these patterns don't magically vanish in adulthood. Instead, they become disguised as habits and personality traits. Survivors may over-apologize, minimize their emotions, or hide their pain. They may fawn, people please, or choose relationships where being unseen feels familiar. They might dismiss their own suffering with "others have it worse," or stay silent just to avoid conflict. Beneath it all is the same old rule: my safety depends on abandoning myself. The body still treats authenticity as dangerous, even when the danger is long gone. And the heartbreaking part is that by the time we're adults, these behaviors feel so ingrained and automatic that we mistake them for just who we are, when really they're echoes of survival strategies we should never have had to learn. The toll of chronic self-abandonment in adulthood is really heavy. Self-care feels selfish or wrong, breeding guilt and shame. Even in close relationships, survivors often feel unseen, unsupported, or invisible. Identity becomes blurry. Uncertainty about who you are, what you believe, or what you even like. The constant overgiving leads to burnout and exhaustion, while emotional disconnection breeds inner emptiness. Suppressed emotions don't just vanish either. They resurface as physical symptoms like tension, fatigue, or even illness. The price of safety is steep. You sacrifice your own aliveness. It's like slowly disappearing from your own life, all while looking perfectly fine on the outside. a survival costume that hides the quiet suffering happening within. On the inside, chronic self-abandonment feels like living a double life. There's the outer self, performing safety, smiling, caretaking, and blending in. And then there's the hidden self, quietly waiting to be acknowledged. Survivors will fear rejection or even punishment if they show up authentically, yet they crave care and vulnerability at the same time. This contradiction creates shame spirals. I'm too much. I shouldn't feel this way. In groups, it feels like being invisible, like you don't really exist. It's not just painful, it's disorienting, like living with a split identity. And over time, this split leaves you questioning which version of you is real, the one everybody else sees, or the one you've been forced to bury so deep you're not even sure you can find your way back to her. So now let's talk about healing, because healing means no longer vanishing when life asks you to show up. It begins with awareness, noticing when you're silencing yourself in real time, reframing self-abandonment as a survival strategy, not a flaw, helps to reduce the shame also. Reconnecting inward through journaling, somatic awareness, or mindful check-ins, that rebuilds the lost bridge between you and your needs. Setting micro boundaries, grieving the times you had to erase yourself, and reparenting the abandoned parts of you with compassion all strengthen your sense of wholeness. Integration is the final step. Shifting from I must abandon myself to be safe to I can be safe and authentic at the same time. That shift is freedom. It's the moment you stop living as a ghost in your own life and start reclaiming your place as the main character of your story, fully present, fully alive, and unapologetically yourself. So in closing, chronic self-abandonment is one of trauma's most insidious scars because it teaches us to disappear from our own lives. But naming it, seeing it, and interrupting it is how we reclaim ourselves. Healing doesn't mean we're never going to feel the urge to shrink again. It means we learn to notice it, to honor the part of us that once needed that strategy, and to choose a different way now. Choosing ourselves is not selfish. It's the most radical act of survival we can take. It's the declaration that our story isn't over, that our presence matters, and that we are finally ready to stop disappearing and start living in the fullness of who we were always meant to be. All right, that's going to do it for today's video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel. Also, follow me on my other social media platforms. The links are listed in the description below. Thanks for watching, everyone.